been so many videos about trying to get this damn thing to run right. I think we finally might be onto something. Oh no. Oh, tragedy. Spilt my beer. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the infamous project. We are working on the old shit box, back by popular demand, and finally had a little bit of time to mess around with this car because I haven't driven it since it got back from Foxtoberfest. It got delivered, I took it up and down the road, did a couple things, but the car has actually been just in this vicinity. I've moved it around a few times just to, you know, play musical cars when I needed to, but there's been some issues, and we're going to go through the few little issues real quick here. I'm hoping to resolve a longer time issue, like since I acquired the car and first got it running. So you can see there's already some tools on the ground here and some parts and everything else. So we're going to go through that in a minute, and hopefully we can get this thing back to its so-called former glory. Miles. So yeah, right on. Hey, don't forget that dust on those tailpipes down there. Oh, yeah, I see some dust down there. All right, guys, so back to the shit box. I have, you can see here, some things are ripped apart. The K-Design rear seat delete section is open because I need to get to the battery. I think the battery is actually just shit its guts. Brand new Optima. We bought that before we left, and I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of debate about Optima these days, but I do like a sealed battery when they're in the car versus an acid battery. So anyways, I'll be able to warranty that. See, the door panel's off because I went to move the car the one day, and then this window wouldn't go up, and suffered from a bad switch in the end. I was just, you know, in a daze and trying to get to the, it started to rain, so I was like, I don't have time for this. I did know where I had some spare switches laying around, so I pulled the panel off, hot wired the window motor down there, and managed to get the window up. So there is a new switch on it now, so I'll be able to put the door panel back on. I do want to take the cluster, the bezel off so that I can actually put the speedo needle back on. If you guys remember, we hit a pothole so big that it actually knocked the speedo needle right off the face of the cluster. It actually shifted the camber of that wheel up there. Didn't bend the wheel, didn't do anything. It did rupture the valve stem. If you guys remember, when we first got to Detroit, had to go get the valve stem replaced on there. But that's all the little stuff. Let's talk about bigger stuff. Got the crank pulley off and the spacer off down here because you can't really see it. There was a shiny balancer on there. That shiny balancer came in that great big box of parts that Ryan Wallington sent in terms of donation towards the car. And you can see, if you guys are new to the shit box, all these names and handles that you see all in the engine bay are all people that donated and contributed to the build of this car so that we could get it up to Motor City Fox Fest last year. And the car had a balancer on it when I first got it running, but it always had this weird vibration through the transmission. So when we separated the transmission from the motor, we did notice that it was a 4-cylinder transmission that was in the car that had the smaller input shaft, and it did not have the proper pilot bearing, which that pilot bearing was another, it was probably the thing that fought us the most out of anything that ever had to do with this car. Besides some maybe the final gremlins, I shouldn't say that, but that pilot bearing was a definite big pain in the ass. So we thought maybe the input shaft was just wobbling in the, wobbling around because it was loose, like hot dog down a hallway type scenario. And lo and behold, we put the proper T5 in the car, and when you rev the car up, you still got this weird vibration right up through the shifter. Now, going to the balancer, and if you guys saw the video on the Celine car, 89-421, you would recall there was a vibration in that motor. That car was a 331 stroker that was set up for a zero balance, meaning no weights on your flywheel, no weights on your harmonic balancer, just straight up zero, right? And ultimately I had to change the flywheel on that car. Fix the problem, but on this car, I know that that flywheel it had the drilling pattern for weight. And I am very, very confident that that is a 28-ounce flywheel that was on here. And we put this shiny, fancy balancer on that Ryan provided us that I believe is a zero balance balancer, right? So that means the balancer, this motor could have been off balance the whole time that we drove it, but it vibrated before. So the question is, was it the transmission? Well, the balancer that was on it before looked stock. And if it was a stock balancer, that means it would have been a 50-ounce, right? That maybe somebody jammed on there. So I just want to do a little bit of detective work, right? It's not good that the motor has seen now, what was it, you know, whatever it was, 1,000 miles, all the way up to Detroit, or God knows how many miles even before that, with potentially improper balance. When the weather's nice, and I got some time to play with the ship box, I really want to try and put a 28-ounce balancer on the car and see if it corrects the problem. So here we go. I got this guy, which there we go. We can see our weight right there in the back, right? So technically speaking, if we wanted, we'll probably do that for warranty purposes. Yeah, so technically speaking, you could swap out this weight for a 50-ounce if you needed it in a stock application. And this is a spacer that's going to be required, which is probably the same deal that I already have, but it comes in the kit. So we are going to try our luck with this and see if the motor runs any smoother with this setup, because I'm pretty confident this isn't a zero balance rotating assembly that's in the motor. I'm pretty sure that it's set up for 28, which is normally the case. So I'm going to go ahead now, pull the balancer off, 15/16 bolt for the main bolt, and then we got our puller kit there. So we'll get the puller on, pull it out, and install this guy, and we'll see what happens. Barely got myself into the radiator here. There we go, guys, as suspected. There's no weights on there. Or, I don't know, unless that means it's set up for something else. But all I know for sure is that we have weights here. In fact, I kind of feel like that might be 50. It kind of looks like half of the surface area, and I don't know how the weighting would work, but that is definitely different than this, right? So let's go ahead, we'll get this guy installed, and hopefully it's going to do the trick. Don't forget to put a little bit of gasket maker, some Pookie on there, get some on the threads of your bolt, wherever the main bolt is, you know, the big one that goes into the crank, so that way you don't get any oil leaks, because the oil will seep through the threads on you, and it also keeps your bolt tightly locked in place. So we'll do that, jam this on, and fingers crossed for a smooth startup. All right, so one thing that is kind of cool, I guess, is that the spacer, well, actually this little, it's almost like a hub-centric ring that came in there. I don't think, there are no instructions. To be honest, I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to leave that ring in there because it centers everything perfectly. And then you're supplied with like 2 little set screws, which is going to make sure that your spacer stays in its correct location. And then you'll be able to, you know, get your crank pulley on there, get your longer bolts all the way through without issue. So I would recommend installing this first, and that way you don't have to worry about trying to fight and center and find these little set holes or set screws and everything else. There it goes. Oh, tragedy. Spilt my beer. Miller Lite all over the place. That was 3/4 of a can. That's worse than losing like a tank of gas. All right, well, gonna refill. You can see I just put 2 bolts on the water pump pulley just to hold it on place. I'm not gonna put the fan shroud on or anything just yet. I'm gonna just hook up the belt. We'll start the car up and see if it feels any different with the new balancer installed. NOCO. Yeah, it looks like we have power. Let's see. Running rich, very rich, but it runs. So I don't know if it's worth trying to set the timing again with the new balancer and see what's going on. Yeah, other than that, it seems smoother than what this guy is, 100%. So that is that's where we're at. Let me see if I can't get this thing to run a little bit longer here. And so I'm surprised. The last time I started this thing up, it was running and idling, but the balancer could have made a difference. So let me go get some more tools here and we'll see what we can make happen. Enough so it'll stay running. set, it definitely made a difference with this balancer where the timing was getting adjusted. So that could have explained some of our drivability issues as well. So it seems smoother. I don't want to rev things up too much as of yet, because you can see the cooling system is starting to get a little bit warmer, and I want to get the fan shroud and everything else in now that the timing is set. And I'm just going to turn this off so we don't lose our power on it, because I want to be able to start this thing up again. So let's see what happens. So now hopefully we don't overheat. You know what? Maybe the timing has been off on this car the whole time. Sometimes timing can impact the how hot the car runs. All right, here we go. All right, managed to finish my beer. We've got almost 3 full bars on the NOCO. So let's see if we can fire this up, because I would love to wrap up this video and see how we're doing. Let's see. Oh, and we're idling. Oh, that feels nice and smooth, guys. Poor alternator can't keep up. Definitely chopping away here. There's been so many videos about trying to get this damn thing to run right. I think we finally might be onto something. Need a proper battery in it for sure. That's probably not helping the situation. Of course, the GoPro dies as I'm trying to summarize and do a wrap up here, but I don't think this motor ever had the right balancers to start with. I feel like the story about somebody getting the car and trying to save it, they got the motor probably was missing the front accessory drive and a whole bunch of other stuff, so people just sort of started slamming stuff together and just threw a normal 50-ounce balancer on, which is the way that I got it. And by us putting on that other balancer that had no weights on it, didn't help the scenario. And now, other than this little bit of erratic idling, we'll have to do a base idle reset, and I'll go through a couple things. But I'm gonna take it to a local exhaust shop. I'm gonna get the tips fixed up because I can't stand the way that they're sitting. And I'm gonna go through a few things. There's gonna be a couple more videos coming out on the shipbox. Now that it's running, I just need to get a proper battery in there that can actually last and start the car reliably. And let's see how it goes. So temperamental. Low idle, ramps itself up, low idle. There we go. Whatever, guys. Until next time, we'll see you back here on the Infamous Project.